gentlemen, welcome to Caesars Atlantic City, where tonight, Main Events Monitor and AB Stars Productions of Paris, France, in association with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, this Bud's for you, present World Championship Boxing. Sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr., Chairman Jerry Gormley, Board members Gary Shaw and Al Daniels, Deputy Commissioner Lawrence Wallace, Chief Physician at ringside, Dr. Frank B. Doggett, attending physicians, Dr. Dominic Coletta Jr. and Dr. Earl Shaw. Counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Eddie Cotton, and the timekeeper is Roosevelt Gilbert. This bout is also sanctioned by the World Boxing Association, President Gilberto Mendoza. WBA supervisor in attendance at ringside, Leonard Reed. The three judges scoring this contest on a 10-point must system will be Guy Jutras, Pinit Prayasab, and John Riley. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Tony Orlando. And now, ladies and gentlemen, by way of Caesars Atlantic City, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the Junior Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the red with gold trim, weighing 153 3/4 pounds. This 1984 Olympic gold medalist has captured 5 World Championship belts in 3 divisions. As a professional, his record, 34 victories, 15 by KO against only 1 defeat with 1 draw. Tonight, he tries for a world title in the 4th division. Ladies and gentlemen, from Norfolk, Virginia, the challenger and welterweight champion of the world, Pernell Whitaker. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white with light blue trim, also weighing in at 153 3/4 pounds. His professional record stands at an outstanding 52 victories, 35 by KO with only 1 defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, from Santa Fe, Argentina, presenting the Junior Middleweight Champion of the World, Julio Cesar Vasquez.
Okay, let's go. Come on, fellas, out. Out, let's go. Out. All right. Okay, gentlemen, you received your instructions. Therefore, I expect a clean, professional bout. Okay, good luck. Touch goes like you can.
The issue tonight is, can Vasquez land solidly? What happens to Pernell Whitaker if he does?
I think one of the keys, Larry, is going to be whose jab is more effective early. If Whitaker can counter that stiff jab, it's going to be a big Whitaker night.
Pernell has a light sweat going in the upper body gill, appears properly warmed up. Vasquez is dry as a bone.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I always warm my fighters up very well before the bell rang.
Round 1 begins. Pernell walks briskly across the ring to get it started. Vasquez fires the jab a couple of times. And now Pernell immediately begins to duck and unlimber himself. And he takes a body shot from Vasquez to start it off. The scouting report on Vasquez says plodding, slow-footed, and straightforward. Whitaker hammers him with the left to the body.
And Jim, for the uninitiated, they're both southpaws. So if people don't like southpaws, they can look in the mirror and watch this fight.
Pretty good idea. Face the screen toward the mirror, turn around, watch the mirror, and you're watching 2 conventional fighters, huh, Gil?
Yes, and Vasquez already has some redness around his right eye. But he was able to get off with a nice combination there, Jim.
But Pernell has pumped the jab into that right eye a couple times, and you're right, there's a red spot to the outside of the eye early here in the first round.
Come on, step back, come on, let him go, break! Step back, quick.
Pernell is letting Vasquez know that he's not going to be able to pull him around. That clinch on the inside, kept clubbing with that right hand.
Pernell promised all week that he would dance and showboat. Right now, he's fighting Julio Cesar Vasquez much the way he fought his 2 fights with Buddy McGirt, standing in front of the opponent, in the wheelhouse, ducking, slipping, and then firing back from odd angles.
Well, he told us that he's always going to be in the position to touch Vasquez, which means he's going to be looking to slip and counter. He's not running.
Pernell holding that right hand very low, Gil. What will that mean against the southpaw?
He just got counted with a punch, as you mentioned that, Jim. Very dangerous. And now they're exchanging those jabs, and Vasquez landed a couple of good stiff jabs.
If you're training Whitaker, do you tell him to get that right hand farther up, Gil?
If I was training Whitaker, I'd be telling him to use a lot more lateral movement and pump that jab and keep it up. You're right. Pull that right elbow in so that hand stays up.
Right now, he's inviting Vasquez to slug with him, isn't he?
Well, he's trying to beat him in his own game. But he did hint to us that he was going to do this, Jim.
Roundhouse left for Whitaker was a glancing blow. Tries to dig to the body again. Vasquez has been able to find Whitaker a few times, but by and large, Pernell controlled the action in the round. And as we go to Vasquez's corner, where the dominant language is Spanish, our interpreter is Hector Garcia.
How you doing? Are you okay? Loosen up and don't fall down. Don't lean forward and stand up straight. Take it easy. Give him water. Just take it easy.
All right? Well, look, that was a beautiful round. That was a good round. Right, just keep it going. Now you know you're hard to hit now. All right? We're doing good, baby. We're doing very good with that round. All right?
Stay
relaxed. That's all. Stay relaxed. Small circle. Punch and turn. Punch and turn. All right? Let's go. Move out, baby.
By stepping in with Vasquez, Pernell Whitaker has already showed him that he'll have to pay a price if he comes at him too recklessly, and that can be important if Whitaker can use that to dominate the fight in boxing terms.
Vasquez spent the period between rounds, Gil, with his hands hanging down at his sides almost all the way to the floor.
Well, that's a big mistake, Jim. You're supposed to rest your hands on your lap, let them relax. By keeping those hands hanging down, the muscles get tight, and his arms could get tired.
Whitaker landed more than half his jabs in round number 1.
Are you a little surprised, Gil, that Vasquez is landing that jab fairly often?
Well, yes, I'm surprised a little bit, Larry, but you know, Whitaker now, as we had mentioned earlier, had put on that extra weight, and he's not quite as quick as I've seen him in the past.
Vasquez swinging twice hard with the left, missing both times. Whitaker, as is his custom, gets around behind the opponent and grabs him to stop the action. That's one of the things that makes a lot of Pernell opponents violently angry.
That was a nice counter before by Vasquez over that low right hand, Jim, of Pernell.
Whitaker missed with the left.
But Jim, are we seeing a different Whitaker tonight? He's really not moving on his legs at all.
I think this has been coming for years. It's been progressing for the past few years of his career. Less and less foot movement, less and less reliance on his great legs, more and more standing inside and just daring the opponent to try to find it.
Right now, he's trying to psych Vasquez out.
Let him go. Let him go.
Hard left uppercut by Whitaker.
Step back.
Vasquez beginning to look awkward now as Whitaker starts to control the flow of the fight even more than was the case in the opening minutes.
No punching, no punching. Step back.
Left hand lead from Whitaker. Brought it down from around the belt line, and Vasquez never saw that punch coming.
Hey. Look. You got to put a little more pressure with these guys. A few more punches, all right? Early, man. I know.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
get these rounds in the back. That's right. We want to get them in the back. Look. I'm going to pick it up. Use the jabs. Give me a little bit more jabs there, all right? That's all I'm asking for. A little bit more jabs, all right? Now, look, you got good head movement, and you hit the guy anytime you want to, okay? But do not let this guy get ahead of you, okay? Just stay one.
Just take it easy. Don't hesitate. And keep using that right hand. Don't anticipate. You're just as fast as he is. Don't anticipate. Don't just take it easy. I'm asking you. Keep you moving your head, move the head, and move your legs.
Vasquez has been snorting in the ring like a bull, and this is a bull and bullfighter type fight, except that Whitaker carries darts rather than a sword.
Hard body shot by Vasquez. Whitaker down on flat feet. Not up, switching from side to side, making Vasquez observe his angles. Rather, he stays straight in front of the Argentine.
One thing that Whitaker does very well, Jim, he changes his height. He's got that where he can bend those knees, he gets very low and come back up again. That certainly can confuse a fighter. Not too many guys do that.
He also has that quality you see in so many of the great fighters, Gil, the ability to keep his eyes open inside without blinking and find openings where other fighters may not find them.
That's the whole object of this beautiful straight left hand by
just perfect.
Pernell Whitaker.
Jim, what you just described is what George Foreman says is standing in the pocket, sort of like a quarterback who lets all the turmoil swing around him, but stays right inside. And of course, Whitaker can also scramble.
Hold it. I'm out. Okay.
And he's a lefty just like Steve Young. Another terrific right and left combination by Whitaker, who's beginning to find the range with the left hand over the top. Any chance he's got the power to score a knockout against this guy, Gil?
I don't think it will be a one-punch knockout, but I think he could throw a couple of good combinations and maybe do some real bad damage to Vasquez. But, you know, Vasquez every once in a while lands a good body shot, which may help him if the fight goes any distance.
Typically, a fighter like Vasquez comes on in the late stages of a fight.
Whitaker starting to double up with the jab. You saw him bring the left hand behind it. Vasquez wailing inside.
And Larry, you mentioned the way Vasquez is snorting. I think maybe Whitaker thinks he's fighting a bull.
Another hard left hand body shot by Vasquez in that exchange. Vasquez landed the left hand over the top.
Nice combination by Vasquez.
So the champion seizing the initiative for the moment against Pernell Whitaker, who once again is cast in the role of challenger tonight.
Another nice combination by Vasquez.
But Vasquez beginning to find Whitaker more easily than was the case in the first couple of rounds. Hard left hand by Whitaker to punctuate round number 3.
fijado con ese gancho al hígado ahí, ¿no?
You see how you hit him right in the liver with a left hook.
Quédate y quédate tranquilo, va.
Take it easy.
Bien, va. Tranquilo.
Take it easy.
No lo hago, ahí nomás, va. Refrescar un poquito con la bolsita.
Freshen him up a little bit with the water.
Tranquilo. Seguimos así,
Just take it easy. Just keep doing exactly what you're
Que no
doing.
te pierdas el respeto, que no te pierdas el respeto, no te duermas en la media.
Don't fall asleep in the middle.
Zurdo, don't put it there for the referee.
Yeah, I know, but you're trying to put it on, Pete. You're trying to put it on. You're boxing beautiful.
Take his hands. Just give me both hands now, all right? That's all. Just boom, 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 and step him out. That's all. Just stay ahead of him. That's all I want you to do. Stay ahead of the man.
You can play everything you want on his head with those jabs. Come on.
Vamos, campeón, eh?
Vasquez is surprising me, certainly, with his boxing ability, Gil.
It's surprising me with his combination punching, Larry. I've seen him on tape a couple of times, and I never saw him put punches together the way he did in that last round. It was usually one punch at a time, usually just a stiff right jab.
Well, he's had to do some boxing some of the time, guys. He is not classically a knockout artist. 7 of his 11 championship fights have gone the distance. Hard left hand over the top for Vasquez. Whitaker tries to answer right back with a right hand. But Vasquez is beginning to find the range with Pernell. In the last minute or so of action, he's improved dramatically.
And again, he has that weight advantage over Pernell. That also could be a factor in the later rounds.
And there was a punch that landed on the shoulder, but that can be an effective punch also as the fight goes on.
It's amazing that Vasquez can get off with a punch like that, because Whitaker, again, is fighting flat-footed.
You saw Tony Orlando, the referee, briefly warning Vasquez against holding Whitaker behind the head.
There was that stiff right jab of Vasquez, Larry, finding the mark.
I think the Argentine is just getting warmed up, guys. Those first couple of rounds, he wasn't really ready to put forth his best effort. A showboating Whitaker goes down on a left hand and then tackles Vasquez. And Tony Orlando, I think correctly, is going to call that a knockdown.
Absolutely. No question about it. Vasquez hit him with a left hand, and down he went.
Second fight in a row in which Whitaker's gone down. Buddy McGirt was credited with a knockdown in the second round of their fight in Norfolk this past autumn. So that changes the atmosphere here dramatically. I think everyone in the crowd was able to see the solid left-hand shot that produced the knockdown, and now Orlando goes back to warning Vasquez about holding behind the head. Another hard left for Vasquez. Whitaker trying to answer bolt for bolt.
Now we're seeing a fight. Not a boxing exhibition, a fight.
Hold it, don't punch him. Step back clean. Step back clean.
Another hard left-hand shot by Vasquez. And that size and power is making a difference, just as you said it might, Gil. This is as wobbly as Pernell Whitaker has ever been for a continued stretch of time.
Those legs are like have a little bit of rubber in them right now.
Definitely. I think you can make an argument that's about as much trouble as Pernell's ever been in a professional fight.
We don't have to bullshit with this guy, all right? Let's just go and win the damn fight now, okay? Now, come on, look. Get out there and box the way we know how to box. Good jab, double jab, triple jab, left hand, or combinations now. Three or four punches. We're throwing one shot out there, all right? When you get close, now you just got to go and start moving your hands now, okay? Come on now, be smart. Fight smart. You're better than that now,
The
okay?
guy's fired up right now, understand? You box this guy with your jab.
Here's a look at the knockdown as they got very close. Whitaker was a little off balance, but that punch high on the head deposited him on the floor. There was a punch on the chin, I should say, before that. And this is later in the round as an emboldened Vasquez comes on.
So Whitaker making an opportunity for Vasquez by squatting down in that position. Gil Clancy, it's the first time in Pernell Whitaker's career that he's ever worn 10-ounce gloves. What effect does that have?
Well, no, that should actually be an advantage for for Whitaker because Vasquez is the stronger and harder puncher. But for some reason or other, Whitaker is not fighting the kind of fight that I thought Whitaker was fighting. He is fighting a fighter.
Harold Letterman, how did you score it through the first 4 rounds quickly?
Larry, 2 rounds apiece, 38-37, Julio Cesar Vasquez. I certainly had to give him an extra point in round 4 for the knockdown. I went with Pernell Whitaker in the first 2 rounds, but they were close. Vasquez could have a bigger lead than I've got him in right now, but I've got Vasquez by 1 point so far.
I have him ahead 3 rounds to 1.
And our interpreter, Hector Garcia, tells us that between rounds, the man in Vasquez's corner told him that they thought Whitaker was in serious trouble and almost gone. So he may be thinking knockout as he comes into round 5. Whitaker going back to the jab in this round.
That is when he's most effective, Jim, with that quick left jab, right jab, excuse me.
Well, it dominated the first 2 rounds. Then he went away from it, decided to trade power shots with Vasquez in the 3rd round, and that's when the tide of the fight began to turn.
The way Whitaker is fighting Vasquez, when he throws that straight, stiff right hand, he can throw that left hand behind it because Pernell is not using any side-to-side motion at all.
Not giving him any angles, is he?
No angles whatsoever.
And it's so easy for Pernell to do that with his great feet. Do you think he might not be in tip-top shape, Gil?
Well, the idea, I always believe in bringing a fighter in at his most efficient weight. By him adding these extra 5 or 6 pounds, I don't think it's helped him a bit.
Good sequence for Whitaker. Vasquez comes back with fury.
No holding. Let him go. Let him go.
That was a Whitaker round.
Sit down and take it easy. Relax. Wait a minute. Are you okay?
No lo dejes imponer.
Don't-
Si no vas a
don't let
trabajar
him-
Alicante
don't let him
derecho,
keep
si
up
no
the
vas
way
a
he's going.
trabajar Alicante, si sabes que es veloz con la derecha.
You know he's very fast. You have to cut that.
Tranquilo, no lo hago, tranquilo.
Don't drown him.
Vamos. Keep stepping around the guy. Punch and step around. Now he ain't, the referee not letting you fight on the inside.
Yeah, I know
So
that.
we
Okay.
can't worry about that.
Okay.
We gotta just keep boxing, keep
But
boxing.
if it
Stop
comes out,
fighting
do
him
it,
now.
but
Yeah,
we ain't gonna let it happen.
Stop fighting the guy now. Stop fighting and then punch him behind the face. Now don't stand in front of him. He's trying to hit you with one shot.
Get that jab out there. Get that jab out there.
Put the rounds in the base for me.
Pernell said he wanted to beat Vasquez with confusement, and his trainer is advising him to do just that.
Well, he's been using confusement up and down, but he hasn't been using any confusement with lateral movement, Larry, or really a lot of sharp feinting either. The things that I expected to see him do in this fight.
Sometimes punchment beats confusement.
Well, I think that without enough confusement, Pernell is taking too much abusement.
I quit.
We've gone far enough, haven't we? But it was a good thing to do while avoiding having to point out that Vasquez is now wearing see-through shorts. His trunks, drenched in sweat, offer full view to the onlookers here in Atlantic City.
This may become our first X-rated fight.
And Vasquez continues to land that stiff jab. They're trading jabs, but when Vasquez lands, except for that one, They've been the stiffer punches.
Vasquez thought that Whitaker was wobbly again, started to try to come after him. Whitaker danced away and convinced the Argentine he was still on steady legs.
If I was in Vasquez's corner now, I'd tell him, show him that right jab, but go to the body. Keep banging hard to the body and use that strength.
In fact, you could go back to the beginning of round 3 where there was a single left-hand shot to the body that helped to turn this fight around, Gil.
Well, I really think that he should stick to that pattern. Because Whitaker's jab is a little quicker and it scores the points. The rounds where they both stay and trade jabs, Whitaker puts in the bank.
Vasquez pulling Whitaker into the corner, missing twice with the left hand. Pernell getting one of the most serious tests of his career. Good right and left combination in the middle of the ring for Whitaker. Then he ties Vasquez up. Julio Cesar Vasquez making Pernell Whitaker pay for every small mistake. As we near the midway point of this scheduled 12-round championship bout for Vasquez's junior middleweight crowd. As round 6 comes to a close, Vasquez, perhaps forgetting to go to the body as much as he should, consolidates some of the advantages he's gained in rounds 3 through 5.
What's that?
Pernell Whitaker still looking around for opponents at both 154 and 147 pounds. How about an unbeaten Ghanan fighter named Ike Quartey, who on the undercard earlier this evening thoroughly outclassed Jung-Oh Park of Korea. It became an early technical knockout for Quartey, who punished Park throughout the bout. Quartey looking stylish and efficient, Park looking overmatched. The Korean was taken to a hospital for observation after this stoppage and was seen to be in satisfactory condition at the hospital.
Pernell doesn't have to go up in weight to look for competition anymore. There are two very good-looking, young, undefeated welterweight champions, Ike Quartey and Felix Trinidad.
Pick up those jabs.
It may be easier for him to fight bigger guys than younger guys, Gil.
Well, you know, when you get a little older and slower, Larry, it really is. I know at the end of any of my fighters' careers, I always put them in with the biggest, slower guys because they couldn't no longer handle the speed. And Whitaker tonight, again, he told us he was going to use his legs in this fight. That was going to be the difference, but he really is not using his legs.
Whitaker in round 6 trying to show some of the efficiency of Ike Quartey. Landed 30 of 45 attempted punches, according to punch-stat numbers, a 67% connect percentage.
Again, Jim, Vasquez keeps trying to hit that head, that quicksilver head. He should be going to the body. The body doesn't move, the head moves.
Well, for the last 4 minutes of boxing, he seems to have forgotten about the body. Sometimes that happens when you think you've got a guy in trouble. You forget about what it was that got him there in the first place.
That's exactly true. You can spend all night looking to land that one big punch, and it never comes again. And meanwhile, you're losing rounds.
I'll call time, sir. All right, time. Go to the corner.
And now we're going to have timeout because the tape is loose on Whitaker's right glove. So Vasquez comes to a neutral corner and rests for a while.
Whitaker, next time he hits you, it's the point, okay? So
And
don't
Lou Duva
retaliate, okay?
will retape the glove.
All right. Okay. Gil.
What did the referee say, Gil?
He said,
If he hits you low, don't retaliate?
if he hits you low, I'm going to take a point and don't retaliate. I mean, that's
That's what, Gil?
I just don't. It seems to me that he's promising the other guy that they're going to give him a point.
Well, Orlando has warned Vasquez both for low blows and for holding behind the head.
But you never say to a corner man, especially a Lou Duva, that the next time he does it, I'm going to take a point.
Yep, Whitaker ducked down again, got into that same position he was in when Vasquez knocked him out, or knocked him down a couple of rounds ago. This time he was in the corner and had the ropes behind him. Vasquez chasing Whitaker, looking to land that big shot.
Come on. Get back to me.
Seventh round of a scheduled 12. Julio Cesar Vasquez continuing to create problems for the man.
Too big and strong. He's forcing the fight. He's more aggressive, landing the harder punches. I think Julio Cesar Vasquez is ahead at this point. I think Pernell's only won 1 round after the first 2.
I now have the fight. Whitaker had 4 rounds to 3.
Care to comment, Gil?
I have the fight dead even in rounds, and I have Vasquez 1 point ahead because of the knockdown.
In round 7, it began to become a jabbing contest. Whitaker landed 18 of 27 jabs in the round. Vasquez could land only 4.
In the corner between rounds, they told Vasquez to go to the body anytime he traps him on the ropes, and he started out this round with a pretty good left hand to the body, a hard left hand to the body.
That's what served him so well earlier in the fight. We're in the 8th round here. Action moving along in Atlantic City. Pernell Whitaker entered the ring as a 4-to-1 betting favorite in the sports books here in Atlantic City against a guy who's won 52 of 53 fights and whose only loss was on a DQ. But Vasquez, largely unknown here in the United States. He's fought almost his entire career in South America with occasional trips to Europe.
Whitaker's starting to use that quickness now, hand quickness, and he's beating Vasquez to the punch. There he is. But anytime Vasquez can move past that left hand of Whitaker's, he makes it very, very difficult for Whitaker.
Good hard left over the top for Whitaker. He's had 2 of them here in the 8th round. Both fighters finding openings in that exchange. Vasquez, for the time being, Gil, again forgetting to go to the body.
The worst thing you can do is stay on the outside with a technician like Pernell Whitaker. He has to get inside, work to the body, and make this fight a brawl.
But the last 2 rounds, he's been boxing with a boxer. See the difference in strength there as Pernell is just backed away by 1 solid body shot from Vasquez. Whitaker has no plans to continue campaigning at 154. If he wins this fight, every expectation is that he'll go back down to 147, even relinquishing this title. Pernell Whitaker says every time he goes in the ring, he's there not for the Alphabet Soup Championship belts, but to defend what he thinks is his title. It's the world's best pound-for-pound fighter.
This is an even fight right now. They got to even after this, right? Okay? Now look, you got to go over 3 or 4 punches now, okay? It's just simple as that. You're boxing your ass off, okay? But look, you got to go 3 to 4s now, baby, all right? We can do this thing now.
Oh, yeah. No, now you're
We can do this thing. Look, 3s and 4s with this guy now. You can't just go with single punches now. You got to go with combinations now.
Go to the body. He's hurting every time you throw the body. Keep throwing to the body.
Vamos zurdo, ¿eh?
Okay.
Ahí te soltaste, cruzaste con todo.
You loosen up and you can hit him.
Siente la mano de él.
Can you feel his hands?
Cruzaste con todo ahí.
You're throwing everything you
Saca
got.
el culo para atrás.
And move back and fat inside.
Come on, Red, come on.
Round 9 begins. Whitaker dominates in the jab category. Vasquez has been landing more power shots. When Vasquez goes to the body, he controls the fight. When he forgets to do so, Whitaker is able to outbox him from the outside. What will happen in these last 4 rounds?
Well, first of all, I'd like to know where Ronnie Shields got the idea to tell Whitaker that the fight is dead even. Did he look at my scorecard? That's the way I have to fight right now. But again, it's if I was in Vasquez's corner, I'd just tell him, work that body. The head will come down and you can hit him on the chin. That's his best chance.
And you heard his trainer, Julio Garcia, saying exactly that between rounds. Keep going to the body. Garcia has the right idea. How well will Vasquez listen? Time for Tony Orlando. 1-point deduction from Vasquez for holding behind the head. Pretty big at this stage of the fight, and that eliminates whatever advantage Vasquez gained on the scorecards for the knockdown earlier in the fight.
You know, I haven't really seen any flagrant holding behind the head, and especially enough to warrant the point deduction. Have you seen anything like that, Larry?
No, I haven't. But he has warned Vasquez.
That'll be a slip. And another tackle for Whitaker, who now has 2 unassisted tackles in the fight.
And now Vasquez is starting to bleed from the nose.
Let him out, let him out.
There's that up and down movement of Whitaker that Vasquez just can't seem to solve. He has to understand that head can move up and down, but the body's there.
Good flurry by Vasquez. Caught Whitaker on the chin twice. Pernell has to tie him up.
Come on.
And now Whitaker talking with Tony Orlando and accusing Vasquez of again holding him behind the head while hitting, I think.
Let's go now. Come on, no, you behave yourself.
Round 9 ended. Whitaker was gunning for his 3rd tackle of the night.
All right. Now you're boxing. Now you're boxing the way you're supposed to box, okay? Look, just keep doing what you're doing. The guys have to set to throw punches, okay? All you gotta do is keep using the good jab, baby, all right? This guy, he's tired now, baby. He's tired now, okay? All he's... Roncito, vamos a trabajar, Vamos a trabajar, Lo ganamos con la bonita, Hay cuerpo cada vez que
Just keep every time you hit him in the body, he gets hurt.
Vamos que podemos, con los
And we can do it. We can do this. This is your night. Throw 1 and 2 and stop.
Aren't we getting to the point in the fight, where body punches aren't going to set anything up for later? Now you got to start scoring big points.
Well, that's why you throw those body punches earlier, Larry, so that they do have an effect later in the fight. But that's the best way for him to get to Whitaker, is to land those body shots.
Right. Step back, Clinton. Step back. Good. Step back. Let's go.
I'll say this for Ronnie Shields in his debut filling the George Benton role in Whitaker's corner. He's out-talked Lou Duba about 2 sentences to 1.
He certainly has. And I thought he gave Pernell pretty good advice that last round, because I see signs of wearing down with Vasquez. You know, when the last round when Whitaker threw him down, that could be an indication that he's getting a little weak.
Well, I guess it's pretty clear at this point, Gil, that Whitaker isn't going to give us any masterful display of footwork and angles, so he should stick with the jab, which has been effective, right?
Absolutely. Now he's moving a little bit, Jim. I expected a spectacular performance out of Pernell Whitaker tonight, but that has not been forthcoming. This is a very, very tough fight between 2 mostly flat-footed fighters.
There are rumors here on the Eastern Seaboard that Pernell Whitaker doesn't prepare the way he used to, doesn't train the way he did during the most brilliant stages of his career.
Just got nailed by a good stiff right jab by Vasquez in that exchange.
top.
And we mentioned that Vasquez has an iron chin. He got nailed right on a button. Nothing happened. This is dangerous for Whitaker right at the moment.
The three judges at ringside are from Canada, Thailand, and New Jersey. Could be a tough fight to score. Vasquez's people weren't happy about the judges and their origins coming into the fight. It was a big dispute at the rules meeting yesterday. Whitaker popping Vasquez with the jab in a less than spectacular performance. Anybody's fight as we get to the last 2 rounds.
Now that's the one I want in the bank. That's the one I want in the bank, okay? Now look, keep being slick, keep moving your head like that, all right? Now look, you're boxing your ass off with this guy, okay? Now look, just keep doing that. Now Pete, listen to me. Okay. Look, he's trying to push you fast, okay? Yeah, he wants to get you in exchanges. Don't let this man get you in exchanges, okay? Oh, don't worry. Look, 3s and 4s and step him in.
This guy's going to go to the floor anytime. There's only 2 rounds left. Go to the body.
You see, the first 5 rounds, Pernell Whitaker landed 54% of his punches. He's raised that up to 60% in rounds 6 through 10. But his activity level is dropping, whereas Vasquez is still throwing a lot of punches, throwing more than Pernell. Again, Pernell vastly more accurate, Vasquez more active. Tough fight to score.
Harold Letterman, quickly, your score through 10 rounds.
Larry, 6 rounds to 4, 95-93. Pernell Whitaker in a real close one. I think he won 4 out of the last 5 rounds. Incidentally, on that 1-point deduction in round 9 by Tony Orlando, I thought it was for rabbit punching, hitting behind the head with the right hand by Julio Cesar Vasquez. He constantly hits Pernell Whitaker behind the head.
So you did see the violation. You did see the violation. You think it was a good deduction, Harold?
Yes, he's been rabbit punching him the whole fight. You can't do that. You can't hit him behind the head.
Our scorecards are very similar, Harold.
No, that's it. Let him go out of here. Good.
Pernell Whitaker in his 16th World Championship fight.
Step back.
13 of the preceding 15 have gone the distance. And it looks as though we're headed for 14 out of 16 in that category for Whitaker, unless Vasquez can pull an explosion in these past 2 rounds.
Well, now Whitaker is starting to use his legs a little bit, Jim. He avoided those last punches by moving from side to side, which he wasn't doing earlier in the fight. And it's making it a lot easier for Pernell Whitaker at this point.
All in all, win or lose, more visits to 154 pounds don't look like the safest of ideas for Pernell Whitaker.
Well, I think there's plenty of competition right now in the welterweight division. I mean, he doesn't have to prove anything. I'd like to see him fight Felix Trinidad, Ike Quartet.
Yeah, but the expectation is that when he goes back down to 147, he'll fight a mandatory against Gary Jacobs. Another point deduction by Tony Orlando. Now, Harold, is this again for rabbit punching as the signal looks like holding behind the head.
Absolutely. It was exactly the same deduction. He's rabbit punching him, keeps hitting Pernell behind the head. Jim, if you hit a man in the brainstem, it's extremely dangerous. At the bottom, at the base of the skull, extremely dangerous. That's what Terry Norris did to Luis Santana when Santana turned around. You can't whack a guy in a brainstem. It's just too dangerous. Tony Orlando's penalized Julio Cesar Vasquez twice for rabbit punching.
And the fact of the matter is, those 2 penalty points could be critically damaging to Vasquez in what might be seen by many as a very close fight.
How you feel? Okay, Pete. Just go 3s and 4s. When you close 3s and 4s, just step around.
When the round is over.
Win the round, that's right. That's all I want, baby. That's what I want. Keep jabbing, all right? Okay, that's good, that's good. Look, hey, look. ¿Dónde tú tienes protector? Acá está. Ahí está. Agua. Dale agua, dame la botella, dame.
Okay, give me water.
Tranquilo.
Take it easy. Relax. Go for it now.
Stay low with him, all right?
Right there, baby.
And keep shooting uppercut. Wait, you got to do it when you're close, not when you're too far away, all right?
The jab get close.
If it's not there, I'm not going to throw.
That's
No,
right.
I don't want you to throw it if it ain't there.
Go to the body. Go to the body with everything you got.
Vamos, Julio. Al pecho, no lo hagas, no lo hagas. Metele en el piso, hijo de mi puta, metele en el piso, Te está mirando el coche,
You heard our interpreter, Hector Garcia. Vasquez's corner saying, go to the body with everything you've got. Pernell Whitaker hoping to be selective and choose his shots in this last round.
Well, Ronnie Shields has been giving him the correct advice. He keeps telling him to use your jab and box. And every time he does that, he wins the round, puts him in the bank. Right now, I would say that Vasquez has to score a knockout to win this fight.
Pernell Whitaker, perhaps partially stunned by the blow. Showboating a little bit. Vasquez pulling in.
Let him go, let him go. Let him go, Vasquez. Let him go, come on.
Make no mistake about it, Pernell Whitaker is well aware of Roy Jones Jr.'s challenge for the title of best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Ever since November 18th, when Jones had his spectacular performance against James Toney, Pernell has been waiting to get back into the ring to try to show his stuff. From that standpoint, it hasn't been the kind of showing he might have hoped for. He gambles, goes down toward his knees again, and could have gone down if Vasquez had landed something there.
Well, absolutely. And you know, the crowd doesn't like this showboating. They don't like what the Pernell Whitaker is doing now. It was a tough fight. It looks like has no respect for his opponent when he does things like that.
On the other hand, there he pulls out another magic moment with the solid left hand over the top. Whitaker must be fairly confident now that he's ahead on the scorecards, because he certainly hasn't gone all out to win the 12th round, Gil.
But he's still scoring those points, making it very difficult for the other guy to really do anything effective. And I think that's all he has to do in this round. Just avoid getting knocked out.
Good solid 1-2 by Whitaker in the middle of the ring. 1 minute to go.
Whitaker appears to be the fresher man right now, which means Vasquez didn't do his job early in the fight, Gil.
Absolutely. What we had mentioned, he should have stayed to the body early. As soon as he hurt Whitaker, he went right back up to the head. Forgot all about what got him there.
Didn't invest enough in the body punching through the fight from round to round to round. And remember, if Whitaker wins, as it now appears he is likely to do, he's only the 4th fighter in the history of the sport to win world championships in 4 different weight classes, joining Hearns, Leonard, and Duran. As Larry Merchant points out, he joins only Duran as a former lightweight champion to go up and win the junior middleweight title 19 pounds more. It's a whale of an accomplishment, even if it comes on something less than his best night.
And you know, Jim, I would still have Whitaker winning even if the referee did not deduct those 2 points.
It'll be interesting to see the scorecards. Much of the crowd booing Pernell as he stands on the ring ropes in the corner in his characteristic victory gesture. This guy hasn't been booed a lot in the past, except by the pro Buddy McGirt Madison Square Garden crowd.
Well, a little too much showboating. You always have to show respect for your opponent in this sport. Most of the times when a fight's over, both guys hug each other to show respect. And this time he did not do it.
And now Vasquez makes a little fun of Whitaker by getting up on the ring ropes himself. Harold Letterman, your final scorecard. What you got?
Well, Jim, I got it pretty close. 7 rounds to 5, 114, 111, Petey Whitaker. I just thought Pernell did enough boxing through the last 6 rounds to win this fight. Certainly, I thought he clowned away the 12th round again, as he does in most of his fights. You know, and it's dangerous in a close fight. But the 2-point deductions, the 2 points that Julio Cesar Vasquez lost for the rabbit punching, certainly have to hurt him in the scoring. He made up one of them with a clean knockdown in round 4. But I just thought that Pernell Whitaker won enough rounds, won 7 rounds to capture this decision, and I predict it's going to be close.
You see a narrow margin for Whitaker as well, Gil?
No, I think that Pernell Whitaker won the fight by at least 3 points.
You think he won it going away?
Therefore, even if Tony Orlando's 2 points didn't count, I still had Whitaker winning by outboxing Vasquez in the last half of the fight.
But will the performance add fuel to the fire of those who say that Roy Jones Jr. has now surpassed Pernell as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world?
Well, that's a subjective judgment, Jim.
Let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Caesars Atlantic City, we go to the scorecards. Unit Prayasad scores about 118 to 110. John Riley has it 118 to 107. And Guy Jutra scores it 116 to 110 for the winner. And new champion, Pernell Whitaker.
Come on. Good. Get by Larry. Get by Tony. Get by Tony.
Unanimous decision by surprisingly large scoring margins for Pernell Whitaker. Did I hear a 118-107 in there, Gil?
I heard that. I can't believe it. I thought Pernell clearly won the fight but not by that large a margin.
All 3 of the scores a little bit wider than we might have thought. And you take a look at final punch stat numbers, which will once again show that Whitaker was by far the more accurate of the 2. And Vasquez threw many, many more punches. Look at that. Vasquez throwing 239 more punches than Whitaker. Whitaker landing 77 more punches than Vasquez. And the disparity in connect percentages as a result, 57% for Whitaker, who lands at a higher percentage than maybe any fighter ever tracked over a long period of time by punch stat numbers. And Vasquez landing at a relatively low rate. Whitaker landing 58% of his jabs. He threw 399 of them, and Gil, that's where he won the fight.
Absolutely, and good advice from the corner. Box jab, use that jab, put the rounds in the bank.
Good night for Ronnie Shields in his first tour of duty replacing George Benton. Let's go to Larry Merchant, who stands by with Pernell Whitaker.
Pernell, this didn't appear to be the kind of virtuoso performance we're used to, even though you won yet another championship. But give us your appraisal of what happened in here tonight.
First of all, I think that was an excellent game plan we had. Ronnie Shields did a good job in the gym. We worked on this. You know, we worked on everything we did today. He perfected the training camp to a T. We just fought our fight.
The first half of the fight, Vasquez seemed a little quicker, seemed to box you more than expected. Give us your appraisal of then and before you started to take over.
I think the first 6 rounds was, we just wanted to get some rounds in the books before we just open up a little bit more. You know, the jab was the only punch I really needed in the fight. Plus, you know, you got to give me some credit. I moved up. I just tried this one fight, and it was a perfect.
Were you comfortable in this? Could you feel that he's stronger than other fighters you fought?
No, not really, not necessarily. No, I felt very strong in the ring. As you can see, I didn't have to move around as much.
Was your added weight any problem as far as your quickness? Do you feel?
I didn't put on too many pounds. I just worked out, stayed natural. I just came in the ring having nothing to worry about but to prepare for the fight. And I'd like to thank everybody when I started, everyone in Houston, Texas that helped me through this camp. I want to thank everybody back in Virginia, as well as my 3 boys. I want to plug them.
What happened on the knockdown?
What knockdown? Obviously, I was, it really was, I didn't think it was a knockdown. I was just off balance, as you can see.
Well, he hit you in the jaw.
But that's okay, but I had to get up. I got up and it really wasn't a full-fledged knockdown. It was really nothing.
All right, what are your future plans now? I know you've talked about Roy Jones. Do you really want to go back to the welterweight division where there are some good young fighters? Or are you willing, under the right conditions, to challenge a Roy Jones?
Oh, come on now. That's preposterous. I'm not. Roy Jones is a 168-pounder. I'm going to go back down and defend my fight, the mandatory fight, at the 147-pound weight class. And I want everybody from Virginia to know that if I do decide to come back home, I want this to be back home at Harbor Park, fellas.
Thank you.
Let me plug my sons. I want to say hi to Dominique, Pernell, and Don Tavius. I love you guys. Lil Honor and Jim, and you, mother-in-law. Thanks very much.
And thank HBO.
Thank you, Pernell. Jim?
All right, thanks very much, Larry Merchant. So Pernell says that he had it under control all the way. Good fight plan, well articulated by Ronnie Shields. And I'll tell you, the guy is so good, Gil, that he can have a little bit of an off night and still win a lopsided decision.
Well, it was a close fight for 6 rounds, Jim. But in the end, Pernell Whitaker pulled away. But if I was in his corner, I would have been sweating because Vasquez was able to set himself. Even though he didn't land those punches, he was able to get rid of them.
Pernell talks about going back down to 147 pounds to welterweight to fight a mandatory. That would be against a slick English southpaw named Gary Jacobs. We saw him on the undercard tonight. Did you see anything to indicate that Gary Jacobs could give Pernell Whitaker trouble?
Well, he may be slick after he puts the Vaseline on him before the fight, but he's just a rough, tough kid, Jacobs, and I just think that Pernell will be able to outbox him, and easily.
And it's unfortunate that potential opponents for Whitaker like Julio Cesar Chavez, Frankie Randall, Felix Trinidad, Terry Norris, Vincent Petway, 3 of them at 147, 3 of them at 154, all of them promoted by Don King, and business circumstances being what they are in the sport, it's unlikely, unfortunately, that Pernell Whitaker, promoted by the Duvas, would find a way into the ring with any of those guys promoted by King. We wish that weren't the case, but it seems to be.
Well, let me play matchmaker for a minute. What about Ike Quartey and Pernell Whitaker? That's a fight that I'd pay to see.
Ike Quartey, the former Soviet amateur star Konstantin Tsu.
Well, he's a 140-pounder right now.
He's going to come up to 147.
That would be a case where he'd be the lighter guy. I'd like to see Quartey. He was very efficient tonight. I thought he showed me a lot of ability.
You were efficient and showed a lot of ability, too. I think you got a future doing this, Gil.
Well, keep trying. That's all we can do.
Thanks a lot. Larry Merchant, your final thoughts on yet another victory for Pernell Whitaker, who calls himself, and is called by many, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport.
But I want to go back to the metaphor I used at the opening of the show, a child who keeps adding a block to that skyscraper, and it looks like he added a block, he made the skyscraper a little taller, but that he senses that that's as tall as that skyscraper wants to go. He doesn't really want to move up in weight, even though there could be the circumstances where he's offered so much money to fight Roy Jones. More money than he can make for fighting anybody else. And this is a professional sport where the idea is to make money, that perhaps he could be talked into such a fight under the right conditions. But tonight, even though he didn't give us what we've come to expect as a virtuoso performance, give the other guy credit. He was strong, he was willing, he was a scrambling, brawling type fighter. And it's not always easy looking perfect against those kinds of fighter, particularly when they're so much bigger and stronger. So it's a strong, good performance by what I think of as still the best fighter pound for pound in the world, simply because he's fought so many good fighters along his illustrious and great career.
That's right. Vasquez is the 12th champion that Whitaker has fought, and one way or another, he has beaten all of them, except, of course, the official draw with Julio Cesar Chavez. So another victory for Whitaker, who's 35-1-1, will be